A bitter cry went up from house to house as the firstborn of all Egypt, from Pharaoh to the throne, to the firstborn of the woman holding in the meal, and slaves in the dungeon, fell death in a moment. In a moment of time, the angels swept through. The angels speed with northless wings to every street of Egypt, many cities. But there were some houses that he could not enter. He could not enter. He took his sword back and put up his shield. No death there. What was it that preserved that house that the angel drew back his sword and could not slaughter the firstborn child? The inhabitants were not better than anybody else. The habitation didn't live in any better houses. They didn't have any better clothes. They were not any more eloquent. There was nothing except the blood stain on the lintel and on the two side posts, as it is written, "When I see the blood, I will pass over." There was nothing whatever was gained the Passover for Israel but the sprinkling of blood. You see, we are preserved in Christ Jesus. Did not God see the blood before you and I saw it? And was not that the reason why He spared our forfeit lives when, like barren fig trees, we brought forth no fruit for Him? We may have lived many, many years bearing no fruit as a Christian. We spent many, many years acting rebellious and mean and hateful. And we spend our lives having fun and enjoying life. People say, well, I'm going to have my fun when I'm young, and when I get old, I'll give some to God. And there are some just like that. And there are some, perhaps some, that after many years of rebellious living on their deathbed, they may be saved. Because God shed His Son, shed blood for Him on the cross. It just took Him a lot longer to do it. God didn't say, when He died on the cross for His elect, now I'll save you if you live right. And when you start living right, I will save you. And many people will say, when I start living right, I'll start coming to church. As if trying to live right will redeem you from sin and you can go to heaven by your righteous life. The only way that you can ever be saved is by the precious blood. No other way. There's no other means. And today, in my eyes of faith, be dimmed and see the precious blood so as to rejoice that I am washed and I can scarcely see the precious blood of it. Yet God can see the blood. It doesn't take much blood to have redeemed me. Oh, how precious is this blood-red shield. I found Psalms 91. Who has Psalms 91? Psalms 91. Let me ask you to get there. Right under the shelter of the cross. Psalms 91, verse 1, I think.
He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty.
Yeah, a good verse. The blood provides a shield. That if we get under the shield of the blood, we are protected by the Most High. Sit down beneath the shadow of the cross and feel, I am safe, I am safe. O ye devils of hell, Are ye angels of God? I could challenge you all and say, with Romans 8:28, who shall separate me from the love of God? Because I'm under the shield of faith. But where will you be who have never trusted in the cleansing power of the blood? You will call for the rocks to hide you and to the mountains to cover you. Hosea, Brother Bill, Hosea chapter 10, in verse 8, as far as I can remember.
Yep.
Hosea chapter 8 and verse 10.
Also the high place of Avon, the sin of Israel, will be destroyed. Thorns and thistles will grow on their altars. Then they will say to the mountains, cover us, to the hills, fall on us.
They will call out to the mountains, cover us. But all the earthly prosperity is but a collection of rubble. Soon destroy it like from upon the waters. It will be as bad, unfortunately, as the mountains. Was it in Washington this week? That the rains came and the floods came and all those people were there, and without warning the mudslide came and they're nowhere to be found. Where are you going to hide? Under the shelter of His wings. You too will become drunk. You too will be seeking a place and there'll be no place to hide. You may see here where all the holy martyrs and witnesses of Jesus Christ are. It will be a time of trouble for Jacob, but he will be saved out of it. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 17. I'm looking again. Revelation 6, I believe verse 17. Oh, my brother. There is coming a day that they will seek the mountains to fall on, and there will be no shield to hide them. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 17.
For the great day of their wrath has come, and who is able to survive?
Number 5. The fifth property of the blood is precious because of its pleading. What did I say? The pleading?
Action and process were found so widespread.
Yes. It provides an enormous amount of protection. Hebrews 12:24, Paul says, and to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better than that of Abel. It speaketh better things than that of Abel. Abel's blood pleaded and prevailed. Its cry was vengeance, and Cain was punished. It is a prevailing way. Number 6, the blood is precious, or perhaps we little expect it to operate. It is precious because of its melting influence on the human heart. I think we all have had that sense where our hearts just melted. You know, when I first met my wife, you know what I mean? I mean, your heart sinks. Or you see your first child, or you see your first grandchild, and your heart just sinks. It melts. You know, Jeremiah 12:10. Richard? Huh?
Zechariah.
Oh, what's Zechariah?
Zechariah 12:10.
Zechariah 12:10. You're right. What did I say?
Jeremiah.
Zechariah 12. See why I have notes? You have that, Richard? Okay.
Upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, spirit of grace and of supplication. They shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for me, and shall mourn for his own. It shall be business for him, for one of his broken.
There is a great complaint among sinners when they are a little awakened that they feel their heart is so hard. The heart of we have said their heart is so hard towards God, an atomic bomb wouldn't do anything to it. There are hearts so hard towards God that it would only take God's blood been shed for him for that to take place. There is no natural so stubborn that a slight of the love of God in Jesus Christ cannot melt. There's no nature of a man so hard that the slightest love of God poured into his soul cannot melt his heart. If grace shall open the blind eyes to see Christ, the stone in the human heart shall melt away when it is plunged into the bath blood of the vine. When it gets a good washing of the blood of Christ. The thunders of the laws and the terrors of judgments are all used to bring us to Christ. But the final victory is love and kindness. All of the thundering and all the hatred and all of the rules that they had in the Old Testament was to bring a person to realize that when Jesus comes in, he gives him a new heart and a new spirit. Jeremiah 31:3. It's a good verse. Who has that? Jeremiah 31:3. Brother Bill.
Jeremiah 31:3.
How does God draw us? He draws us, let me read it.
Okay.
With love and kindness have I drawn thee.
With an everlasting love.
With an everlasting love. Listen. You really don't have to push a hardened sinner to the cross. You don't have to scream and holler at a deaf sinner. It only takes a brief whisper of Christ in the heart of the most in-depth, rebellious sinner that'll draw him to Christ. How powerful the blood is. Spurgeon's invitation for sinners to be saved was this: Sinner, if God shall lead thee to believe this morning in Christ to save thee, if then wilt trust thy soul in the hands to have it saved, that heart of thine will melt at once. See how hard the heart is? Put your trust in the Savior, and at once, with love and kindness, he will save you. Number 7. But then comes the 7th property of the precious blood, a gracious power. A gracious power to bring or restore to a state of peace. There is a quiet calmness. The property of the precious blood is precious because it brings about a tranquility, a quiet, a calmness. The same blood that melts can bring a state of peace. John Bunyan speaks of the law as coming to sweep a chamber like a maid with a broom.